So welcome back to Weekend with Experts second session. So in continuation with yesterday's or say the previous session, today we'll see how we can use this dynamic range in programs or in charts, or how to use this dynamic range or say range in changing the flags. Okay. Let's go here. We'll create one user form and then we'll see how we can load this dynamic range what we have already created. So if you go and check this, so we had already created one dynamic range somewhere. Get created, let's say range name, say subcategory. So we have one category, same data validation. So we can use the same range. So what I'll do, I'll go to this user form, say Alt F11, we'll create one user form. Right click, insert a user form. This is just to load the dynamic range in a drop down or in a list box. Let me take drop down here and I'll put it here. So I'm just showing you guys how this dynamic range can be used in user form as well, that is to load in the drop down or list box. Now this is only single drop down. Let me rename this, select this, say CMB subcategory, just renaming it. Let's rename the user form as well quickly, say FRM dynamic range, just renamed it. So here we can also rename this caption dynamic range. So you can see here I have one drop down. I'll try to load the range what we have created here. In the previous session we already created. Let me just delete this. So I have only 4 subcategories. So this will try to load. So we'll take the name of this range, that is subcategory. I'll just copy this. Now what we'll do to load this user form, that is the drop down, what I have to do is just select this, press F4. Then when I scroll down here, I'll have something called as row source. So you don't have to do anything, just paste that range name what you have created, the dynamic range, say enter. Now let's run this. If you go and check this, see, I'll get the range automatically. Now suppose if the range increases, what will happen? That we'll see. Let's go back. This data validation, I'll just copy and paste some more records here. And now we'll go to this user form and then we'll say run. You can see that they're getting loaded here. That means even in user forms also we can use this dynamic range. Let's create one list box and we'll use the same range here and we'll see how this list box can also be loaded. I'll take this list box here and just click here. Let me adjust this user form. I'll just keep it here like this. Fine. So combo box is a selection. That means I'll go here and I'll select this by this drop down. But list box will list down all the items in that list in this list box. Let me select this. I'll use this LST dynamic range, just renaming it. It's a good practice actually. So I actually maintain this renaming of the shape. So I just rename this control as well. Now what we'll do is we'll scroll down, select this list box. If you scroll down here, I have this row source. Both will have similar properties. Only thing is here drop down will have the drop down. When I select, then I can select the item what is there in the list, and here it lists down all the items in the list. I'll give the same name here, say RNG sub category, say enter. You can see that it's getting loaded here. Let me just run this. So you can see this, all the items are available. Suppose if I add some more, let me add this as well. and then we'll run this. See, those items are also getting added here. If you go and check this drop down here also, that will get added. So after that you can select this and do other programs. Say I can do any other selections, I can filter the data or something like that. Fine, this is just to load the say items in the drop down or list box. Let's go to another example. So in the previous session we did one example, that is category, and then loading of these subcategories in another drop down. Say I'll go here, I'll select this, then I'm getting this subcategories. Same thing I can do in user form as well. Say dependent drop down in user form. So just now we saw one user form, that is simple one, that is having one drop down and a list box. Now what we'll do, we'll see how I can actually create two drop downs and make it dependent drop down. So what I'll do, I'll create a separate form itself and we'll rename this. We'll name it as FRM dependent, and here in caption I'll say dependent drop down. Right. Now what we'll do, we'll create two drop downs. So one drop down I'll take here and I will put it here like this, and for you can rename this as well. I'll say category and we'll keep it here. Right. Now this category is this one. So what we'll do, quickly we'll create one static or dynamic, whatever we want you can create. So as of now I'll just create one static range called as RNG category, and I'll select this drop down, F4, scroll down, here I have this row source. I'll just paste the range name what I've created and say enter. Now we'll run this, I'll get these three categories. Fine, so depending on these categories, I'll put one more drop down here, that is subcategory. So that should get filtered or say loaded according to the categories what I'm selecting here. So I can copy the same thing and I can paste it, or I can create a new one. I'll just copy and paste. Here I'll call it as subcategory. Let's increase this. And we'll take this little like this. If you want, you can increase this a bit. Okay. Now if I select this category, say furniture, then if I go here, I should get only furnitures here. So what we'll do, here we've already created one categories, that is this will be furniture, and this is office supplies, and this is technology. So this is what we did in the previous session. If you go here and check, so I can see this furniture, that is this one. So when I select furniture, I should get these items. When I select office supplies, then I should get these items. And one more, technology, if I select, I should get these items. So when I'm loading this, the first drop down, so you don't have to write any program. You can use add item and also you can do it, but now we are learning this dynamic range, so we are using this dynamic range and then I'm loading this. But now depending on this selection, this drop down also should get updated. So what we'll do, we'll go here, we'll write program in this drop down. See, when I double click on this, I'll start writing the program. So before that, what we'll do, we'll rename this. I'll say CMB and I'll call it as category. This one, I'll name it as CMB subcategory. It's a good habit, it's a good practice to rename the controls or say objects. Now just double click on this. Right. it says CMB category change. This is the event. So in this event, I'll write a code for loading the another dropdown what we had, that is subcategory dropdown. Say CMB subcategory dot row source, I'll say blank. First we'll clear that and then we'll load the categories. So here I'll say CMB subcategory dot row source. So now we are doing this through code. So previously I was updating here. Say in this row source we had this row source, so I have to update here. But since this has to be dynamic, so what I'm doing is I'm writing a code for that, and code is just a 2-line code. That's all, nothing else. Equals, and then I'll take the category whatever is selected. So what I'll do, anyways, when I'm actually running the user form, I'm selecting some categories, that is furniture, office supplies, or technology. That itself is a range which we have created. So what I'll do, I'll say CMB category dot value. That means whatever value I'm selecting here, say office supplies or say technology or furnitures, that will get loaded into this row source. Now let me just run this and see. I'll run this user form, and here I'll select this furniture. See, I'll get only furnitures here like this. Let me go and select this office supplies. Now I'll get all these office supplies here like this. Let me select technology. See, it will get updated to technology. So like this also you can use this ranges. If you want, you can create a dynamic range name here and you can apply it also. That is not a problem. Let's go here. Now you can see that when I load this, say furniture, and if I select this some item in this list, and when I go here and say office supplies, it still shows that, say tables. Now when I click on this, then only this will get, I can update this. So to avoid this, what I can do is, you go here, I'll say CMB subcategory dot list index, I'll say equals 0. So what will happen when I'm changing this drop down, see furniture, automatically it will give me the first item in that list. The index actually start from 0 in this drop downs. Let me select office supplies. See, automatically it will change. Even though I've selected this, say in office supplies, I've selected one item here. Let me go and I'll change this to technology. See, it gets changed to one of the technology. That is the first item in this list. Now let me go and select this furniture. You can see this. See, automatically it will change. So previously what was happening, say if I would have selected something like this, so it was remaining as this unless and until I go and change. So I have to give one code, that is the index. So this is for drop down. Now let's see how I can do similar thing for list box as well. Let me just go here. I'll add one list box here. Take this list box and I'll put it here. Now this list box will be depending on this drop down, like what we have this drop down here. Similarly here, when I select furniture, this also should get updated with this items whatever is there for subcategory. So what we'll do here, I'll double click. Similarly, like what I've wrote the code here, I'll say rename this lst, say sub category. Rename this so it will be easy for me to write the code. Now this is for the combo box what we loaded. Similarly, I can do for list box. Let's say lst subcat dot row source equals blank. Then I'll say cmb say lst subcat dot row source equals cmb category dot value. Let's run this now. Let me select this furniture. You can say this, see books, chairs, furnishing and tables. Let me select this office supplies. See, this will get updated. Say technology, this will get updated. So like this also I can use this dynamic range. Alright, let me close this. Now we'll see how we can use list box with this range. We'll create one more form, and here I'll take two list box. One is for category and other one I'll copy, paste. This is for subcategory. We'll put a label here. Take a label, say category, and let's put it here. And this one will make it as subcategory. Right. So here we load the category based on the selection. So this subcategory should get updated like what we did here. Here we used drop down. Now what we'll do, we'll use both the list box. Let's rename this user form. Say FRM list box. Select this. Say LST category, and this one say LST subcategory. So we renamed both the list box. Now first we load the row source here, that is the category range what we have created. Say F4, go here, and here in row source I'll say RNG category. But when you are typing this, make sure that you're typing the correct range name what you've created. If not, see, I'll just remove this and say enter. It'll throw error saying that the row source property is invalid. So you should be very careful while typing the range name. Otherwise, the good practice what you can also do is go to this name manager and check that. Say I have this RNG category. So go to edit, copy this and paste it so that you don't miss that. Say spelling mistakes or anything, you don't do any mistake here. Say paste it, say enter. I got this. Now in this what I'll do, I'll write a code. Double click, I'll say same code, lst subcategory dot row source equals blank. Lst subcategory dot row source. Here I cannot give like what we gave that drop down, say dot value. Here I cannot do that because in this list box there are so many items, but in the drop down what you have here, it will be selected as one only, means only one value will be selected. But if you're seeing here, it has got 3 items here, it can be more also. So in that case I cannot say lst, so say lst category dot value, I cannot give like that. So what I have to do is, in this case I'll say lst category dot list, and I have to mention the index number of the selected item. Go here and I'll say lst category dot list index. So what this will do is, it will give me the name of the selected item in lst category list box. Okay, let's run this and see. Now let me click on this furniture. You can see this. Click on this office supplies and say technology. Fine, this looks very normal actually. What I'll do, I can format this and I can use this in my dashboards, or I can use it in my template or anywhere. Let me select this F4 and scroll down. Here I'll have something called as list style. I'll make it as option. We can say this. You can reduce this little, and here also we'll select this and then I'll say list style options. Let's run this. See, furniture, you can see that. You can see that radio buttons here like this. All right. Suppose if this subcategory is a multi-selection, say I have given the range here. When I select furniture, I'll get subcategory. So if it is like I have to select only one subcategory, then I can use it as say radio button here like this. Suppose if I use this, if you want to have a multi selection, then I'll go here, select the subcategory. Here I have this single and I'll make it as multi. When I say multi selection, let me run this. See, I can do multi selection. See how to get these values, how to paste this into my sheet, that I'll be discussing in one more session in our next or say in coming weekend with expert sessions. So there I'll be discussing only on the forms, then I'll tell you how to capture these values into sheet. But since now what we are actually doing is about the dynamic range or say range, I'm just trying to show you how this can be loaded. So this is how you can load the user form as well. So using this dynamic range or say static range as well. Right. So if you want to open this form in your template, suppose if you think that you want to open this form, so I'll go here and I'll create one module and I'll rename this mod underscore open form. Quickly I'll create one program here. I'll create one macro, say open list box. Say we'll give that FRM list box dot show. That's it. Now we'll go here and I'll insert one shape. And I'll say open form. Let's format this. Say okay. Right click, assign macro, just assign this macro. See, I'll get this form and I can use this like this. So if I've created one dynamic range here, if the data are getting added, so here this also will keep getting added, and if I add anything here, so that will also get added here. So this is how you can use this range in user forms. All right. Next one is about the flag. Let me just make one more copy of it. First here we'll see I'll create one data validation. If I select one of the countries, then the flag has to change automatically. This one, many of them actually keep asking me saying that how can we actually do this? Should we have to write macros for this or something? Nothing like that. It is very, very simple to do that. I'll show you how to do that. We'll go to this data and here I'll say data validation. We'll create the list. If you want, you can make again a dynamic range. I'm just trying to select only these countries and I'll say okay. Here I'm selecting the countries. Right. Now when I select this country, I'll have one image here. Automatically the country also should change. Let me format this. Okay. So if I select a country, then the flag has to get changed accordingly. So how to do that? So what we'll do, first we'll go here, select the table with the flags. Then go to this formulas and here we have something called as create from selection. Either I can go here and create one range for each cell, say for each cell depending on the country name. Or what I can do is quickly, if you want to create a multiple ranges, so I can select like this and say create from selection. Here it will ask how to create this, say left column. So what will happen, whatever selection I've done here, it will give the name what I have here towards my left column. So I'm using this left column. If you are having the names on top, you can give on top or bottom or right or whatever. Now in this case it says left column. I'll say okay. When I say okay, you can say this See, now I'll select this flag. You can see that it got named as Argentina. See, Australia, Germany. So like this. Fine. Now the flag has been named. Now what we'll do, we'll select this cell and I'll go to this name manager. Here we'll create one new range and I'll say RNG flag. But if you go here, I have the cell here. I'll make it as indirect of. So in the previous session, we saw this for creating dependent drop down in the say list of data validation. I just created indirect of this name what I've selected and I given the name as RNG flag and I'll say OK. Then close it. Now what we'll do, we'll go here, just select any one of the flags, any cell, say Control C, and go to this home tab. While pasting, just paste as link, paste picture as link like this. You can see that. See, I got one flag here. Let me increase this flag. You can see that there is a cell address here. Fine. Now select this flag, remove this cell address. I'll say RNG flag. That is whatever range we have created and say enter. So once I say enter, now we'll go here. I'll select, see, Australia, Japan, or any flag you select, automatically this will get updated. This is by drop down, that is data validation list, what we have used. Suppose if you want to use the same thing by a drop down in the sense, I'll go to this developer, insert, and I'll take a drop down here like this. Let's keep the same flag here and we'll change only this value so that we can retain all these values. Otherwise you have to create it from beginning. Just we'll see how we can use this drop down for changing this flag. Right click, format control, and I'll select this range. And I'll take a cell link and put it somewhere here. Say okay. Let's remove this data validation. I'll just clear this. Now when I select this Argentina, I'm getting the index number here. Now what we'll do here, say equals index of this range, comma, and I'll select the index number what you have selected here. See now, since I created one range here, when I select this, see the flag is also getting changed. The advantage of this one, this drop down, is I can keep it anywhere I want, like this. Anywhere I can keep it. But if you are creating a drop down by using this data validation in a cell, so that will be static, it will be here only. So when you have a control like this, say some shape, you can move it anywhere you want. See, if you think I want to keep it down here somewhere, you can keep it, or you can keep it inside this also, like this. So anywhere you can keep, but if it is a cell, you cannot do that. Keep it here. It's not only for flag, you can do it for any objects like this. So it is such simple, you don't have to write any macros or anything for this. You can easily create some range here. For this you have to download some flags and you have to paste it in the range, and then you can write one say, or you can create one simple dynamic say range. No, it's not a dynamic range. You can just create one range by using this indirect function, and then you can create this. It's very simple. Next, charts. You can use this dynamic range for creating charts as well. Let me go here. We'll take some data from this range. I'll just take a simple data only. copy this and put it in chart. We'll put it here. Okay. I'll take out some data and I'll keep it separately and we'll call it as sales. Let me select this, say insert, and let's create one chart here. Let's say column chart and we'll keep it here. If you want, you can format it quickly. I can go here, this format design, select this. I'll remove the grid lines. Okay. So you can say I created one chart. Now if I copy this data and if I paste it here, I need to go here, select this, right click, say select data, and I have to increase the range, say okay, to update this data. So instead what I'll do is I'll create one dynamic range such a way that if I keep updating the data, this chart also should get updated automatically. So how to do that? Let me explain you. Let me delete this. See, now suppose if I delete this, you can see the chart something like this. See, I'm getting this blank space because the range what I've selected is extra space I've taken. The same example we saw in our drop down list as well. People will take some buffer and later on they think that okay, there is some blank and again they'll be keep resizing it. So don't do that. This we can do without macros as well. So I'll show you how to do that. First what we'll do, we'll take the count. So as we did in our previous examples as well, count A, let me select this. So I have 5 regions here, that is 5 data we have. Select this and right click, select data. You can see this, there is one sales series and here I have these headings. So we have to make these two dynamic now. So before that what I'll do, I'll create a dynamic range and I'll keep it ready for updating this chart. So how to create this dynamic range? We'll go to this formulas, new manager, and then new, we'll say RNG chart. I just gave one name here like this, and here say equals offset. Select the first cell, comma, row index number 0, column index number 0. Then I'll select this row height, comma, and I'll say 1. That is for this region. Say OK. Next for the sales, we'll create one more dynamic range. Say new RNG chart sales, say equals offset of this reference, say row index 0, column index 0. Then we'll take the same count because it is same count only. Then comma, I'll say 1, that is 1 column. Say OK and say close. Let's go to this chart, right click, select data. So what I'll do here, select this series, go to this edit. Here you can see the series value. So what I'll do is I'll just update this range. Say it says J6 to J15. So this one is for the sales. So I'll go here, I'll say RNG chart sales. Let the name be exactly like what we had given there. Say OK. Next is this heading. Say edit. Here again, don't remove this sheet name here, the charts, whatever is there, keep it as is. Just remove only this range. And here I'll say RNG chart. Say OK. Done. Now let's see if you update what will happen. I'll just take only 2 regions and let me paste it here and see what will happen. Just paste it. Can you see this? Region 1 to 7. Let me copy these 3 as well. Copy this and I'll paste it. See, automatically it is getting updated. Let me delete. I'll just copy and paste here. Just I'll delete this. See, this way also I can use this dynamic range. Fine. Next one, in the code also, I can use this dynamic range for say copying the data as well as say filtering the data as well. Let's say in the previous example, we had created one dynamic range, that is pivot table. Say here, if we can go and check somewhere, we created RNG data. See RNG pivot table. If you go and check this thing, this is the pivot table what we have created. Now we also had added some extra data here. I'll just cut that and we'll put it here. We'll put it somewhere bottom. So I'll put it somewhere here for time being. Let me delete this. Now the dynamic range, whatever is there, it will select the data. Is that pivot table? See, it is taking till the last source here like this, till here. That is 3457 row number. Let's use this in code for copying and pasting the data into different sheet. Let me create one sheet here. I'll name it as WKS copy. Let this be as data. Alt F11. Now I'll create one module. So I'm creating all these separate modules so that when I send this file to you, so it will be easy for you to work on. Say mod underscore, I'll say we'll keep it as range. Now let's go and check that sheet. Say here we'll rename this as well. Say WKS copy. Fine. And then we have this data. So this also we'll name it as WKS data. Okay. Now what we'll do, we'll write a code to copy and paste this range, that is dynamically. There are many ways to copy and paste. I'm just showing you how we can use this dynamic range to copy and paste. Right. Let's say sub copy data using dynamic range. Say dim RNG data as range. So I'll assign the cells or say the range for this RNG data. Say set RNG data equals WKS data dot. I'll show you one way what we can do. I'll go here, I'll say A1 dot current region. This is one way what we can do. Other way is I can use the dynamic range. Go here, let me comment this. So instead of this range, so other way also we can do is we can hard code this. Say A1 till E3457 whatever, like this. This is another way. But since we are actually trying to use this dynamic range, I can remove this range and I'll give the range name what we have created. Say the range name is RNG pivot table. Now I'll say copy. Let's say RNG data dot copy, and we'll paste it in WKS copy dot range of A1 dot paste special. Let me run this. See, the data copied and it pasted. So if you go and check this, see, it is copying till this east. Let me increase this column width. See, fine. Now let me copy and paste this data, that is extra data whatever we created. Paste it. Let me. Now if I run this, this data has to get pasted here along with that northeast data as well. If you want, you can put one code here, that is WKS copy dot cells dot clear. This is to clear the data. Let me run this now. Let's go and check. See, that northeast is also got pasted here. Now again, let's remove this. So if I remove this, I should get data till east only. Let's run this. We'll go and check here. See, data is still list only. So this is how we can actually use this in the code as well. Fine. Suppose if you want to use this, say dynamic range for filtering the data and copying and pasting, that also I can do. Let me copy the same data. For filtering, how we can use this? I'll say filter data. Same thing, everything is same. Only thing is we'll filter and then copy. So here we'll use, see, I'm using this RNG data and I'm using this pivot table itself. So here I have filtered this, I have removed this data northeast. Let me go here, I'll say RNG data dot auto filter and I'll say first field and we'll filter north. I'm just hard coding it here. When I'm copying, I'll say dot special cells and we'll take this cell type visible dot copy. That is because I have to copy only the visible cells. So same code here I'm directly copying, but here I'm filtering and then copying with the dynamic range what I've given here. Let me run this. Now here only the data for north has to be copied and pasted. So if you see here only north is copied and pasted. Let me go here. I'll copy this northeast. Now if this northeast is not there, say I'm not going to paste this data here, I'll just try to filter the data by northeast here like this. The data is not there, you just see. I'll try to run this. See, data is not there. Now when I copy and paste this data, let me paste it here just below this. Now if I run this, it should filter this northeast. Previously it was not there, it was giving me blank. Now let me run this and see what will happen. See, it is filtering northeast and you can see this northeast pasted here. So like this, you can use this dynamic range everywhere, not only in Excel, you can also use this in code as well. So that your template or the dashboard or Excel sheets what you're creating will be dynamic. So this dynamic range, whatever is there, this one, the dynamic ranges can be used in so many ways. And I've showed you so many examples. Hope these 2 sessions were actually useful for using this in your say projects or assignments or any of your templates or dashboards. So I've tried to put almost all the options. There are so many other options in a simple way. If you want to tell, wherever you find that there is a range which you are using, it can be in charts, pivot tables, or in some of the drop downs or say dependent drop downs. It can be in Excel sheet or in user forms. You can use this dynamic ranges. So thank you so much for this weekend with expert session on complete usage of dynamic range in MS Excel. Hope this will be very useful for all you guys.